So we are covering equal opportunities issues, okay? And here we are talking about uh, the discriminations, okay? And discrimination is a kind of must for the cooperation, okay? But we also have to look at the positive side of the diversity, okay? So here we said that because it limits the skills, discrimination limits the skills pool from which they can draw talent and creates a closed mindset for developing new markets and opportunities. So we like to give focus on the new market and opportunities, okay? Because diversity has something to do with some kind of creativeness, and diversity can increase the effectiveness of an organization. For an interesting episode, I'd like to give you an example of Turing. Okay, Alan M. Turing. He was born in 1912 and he died in 1954 at the age of 42. I'm not sure whether you have heard of his name, but he's a very famous man in the computer history. Later, we are going to give you some interesting relationship with the Apple computer. Okay, so Turing was an English mathematician, computer scientist, logician, cryptanalyst, cryptanalyst, philosopher, and theoretical biologist. And Turing was highly influential in the development of theoretical computer science, providing a formalization of the concepts of algorithm and computation with the Turing machine, which can be considered a model of a general-purpose computer. Turing is widely considered to be the father of theoretical computer science and artificial intelligence. Okay, so this is a kind of a genius. Uh, so born in London, Turing was raised in southern England. He graduated at King's College, Cambridge, with a degree in mathematics. In 1938, he obtained his PhD from the Department of Mathematics at Princeton University. During the Second World War, Turing worked for the government code and cipher school at Bletchley Park, Britain's code-breaking center that produced ultra-intelligence. So, if someone is interested in the World War II, I believe we understand the importance of the the codes. Okay, how to crack the enemy code. That's very that's the most important part of information about the enemy. Okay, so uh, all the countries are doing their best to understand and to reveal the secret behind their cause. Okay, so for a time he led Hot 8, the section that was responsible for German naval cryptanalysis. Here he devised a number of techniques for speeding the breaking of German ciphers. Turing played a crucial role in cracking intercepted coded messages that enabled the Allies to defeat the Nazis in many crucial engagements, because they already knew what's going to happen. Okay, uh, after understanding the cause of the Nazis, so they could prepare themselves and they could build up their strategy. Okay, due to the problems of counterfactual history, it is hard to estimate the precise effect ultra-intelligence had on the war, but Professor J. Copeland has estimated that this work, okay, this work of cracking cause of the Nazis shortened the war in Europe by more than 2 years and saved over 14 million lives. Okay, so now we understand the contribution of this genius. Okay, this man Turing. But the story behind the war was very sorry, because after the war, he had a good job in the very prestigious university's laboratory, but he was prosecuted in 1954 for homosexual acts. Okay, he had some homosexual relationship with a man, and because he has stolen something out of his house, he reported it to the police. The police caught the man, but soon came to understand that they had some kind of homosexual relationship. At the time, it was criminal. It was a crime, okay, to have such a relationship. So the uh, in the United States, in the United Kingdom, they mandated that the gross indecency was a criminal offense in the UK. He accepted chemical castration treatment as an alternative to prison. So the police gave him a chance. Okay, you may not go to prison, and you may castrate yourself. You may should accept some castration, uh, chemical castration treatment. So Turing died in 1954, 16 days before the 42nd birthday, from cyanide poisoning. An, an inquest determined his death as a suicide, but it has been noted that the known evidence is also consistent with accidental poisoning. So there are many theories about his death. Okay, so some of them are saying that it was just accidents, but some of them are saying it's a kind of a suicide. Despite his accomplishment, he was never fully recognized in his home country during his lifetime, because much of his work was covered by the official Secrets Act, because his activities were of secret, of national secret. In 2009, following an internet campaign, British Prime Minister Gordon Brown made an official public apology on behalf of the British government for the appalling way he was treated. So he was treated badly as an homosexual. Queen Elizabeth granted Turing a posthumous pardon in 2013. The Alan Turing Law is now an informal term for a 2017 law in the United Kingdom that retroactively pardoned men cautioned or convicted under historical legislation that outlawed homosexual acts. So Turing has an extensive legacy, with statues appear on the Bank of England $50 note, £50 note, to be released in June 2021. A 2019 BBC series, as voted by the audience, named him the greatest person of the 20th century. So, if you are interested in his life, there is a very interesting movie, Imitation Game. So, this is a very interesting example how uh, a, a, a black sheep, okay, someone that is very different from the other people, can also contribute to the society. So this story emphasizes the diversity, the importance of diversity. And here is a Turing and Apple logo. You must have remember the Apple logo. You can find it in your computer or iPods or your Apple phones. Okay, so here, this is the the Apple, okay, Apple logo. In 1954, computer scientist and brilliant mathematician Alan Turing died after biting into an apple laced with cyanide, a real-life version of Snow White and the poison apple. So it's long been assumed that it was suicide, perhaps because he was frustrated and overwhelmed by the chemical castration the British government forced upon him after he admitted to having a sexual relationship with a man, which was against the law at the time. Okay, in the old days, it was a very serious offense. A half-eaten apple was found by Turing's bedside. Fast forward about 2 decades to a few guys making personal computers in a garage. They had a name for their product and were now in need of a logo. The men were aware of Turing's contributions to computers and coding and decided to honor him and comment on his prosecution by removing a single byte from the Apple graphic they had picked to represent their company. And that's how we got the iconic Apple logo on the back of all of our phones, computers, and iPods. But I think this is a kind of mythology because Steve Jobs had never, I don't think he had any chance to study about Alan Turing because he quit the he quit the university at 1 year after he entered because of financial problems. So I don't think Steve Jobs has any chance to study the Alan Turing, the history of the computer in the United Kingdom. But anyhow, he has he is said to have accepted, okay, the kind of explanation with pleasure. So they say that this is the Turing's apple, okay, and this is a very interesting story. So the conclusion is that diversity works. So in the organizational theory, they accept diversity as one of the ways to increase or promote the efficiency, okay, of the corporation. And the fifth employee issues is health and safety. Okay, uh, so why is this an issue? As the treatment of workers and improvement of employment conditions forms a major part of people's perception of a company's attitude to social issues. Having a thorough, regularly reviewed system regulating health and safety is essential in order to being proactive in addressing these concerns. So, from the researchers' standpoint, we'd like to know whether the company has assigned responsibility for health and safety systems to a named senior person. Okay, not some anonymous senior person, but the named senior person. Where the company has received one or more significant awards or commendations for the implementation and content of its health and safety system, it is a plus for the in grading the corporation and the corporation's health and safety issue. The company provides clear details of the health and safety training undertaken. Okay? This is one of the questions we raise. The company provides significant quantitative supporting data. So we'd like to know whether they have quantitative supporting data. We like numbers. For example, changes in accident rates illustrating its health and safety performance. Okay, so these are the questions we'd like to know about a company in their health and safety concern. And six, job creation and security. Okay, so we don't want a company to take advantage of workers by laying off workers without adequate consultation and considering all proper alternatives or by not providing proper job security. So first of all, the company is supposed to give them the job security, but when the economic situation is very bad and there is no other way, they should give their employees the proper alternatives, okay? Or they should be given adequate consultation about their job, okay? Layoff or just firing people are not accepted. There is significant legislation obliging companies to consult their workforces ahead of restructuring operations. If there's a restructuring operations, it should be they should let the workforce know about the kind of operations. So there should be some warnings uh, for the new development of situation. Okay, ethical investors wishes to seek out companies which have a proactive attitude avoiding job losses, or at least providing support to workers who are made redundant and or major creators of new jobs. Okay, so when the new situation develops and when some of the workers are considered to be redundant, okay, or uh, they should be given new jobs, okay, or they should be educated for new position, okay. So they have to create new jobs for the uh, for the for the redundant employees. By encouraging job security and taking efforts during restructuring to help employees who have to be laid off to find new employment or capital with which to start new businesses, companies can make a significant contribution to their stakeholders even during difficult periods. So, even in the difficult periods, the company should spend their time and capital, okay, uh, for the employment of their laid off workers. Okay. And seven, trade unions. Okay, trade union. So trade unions and collective bargaining can provide workers with a valuable safeguard against exploitation and victimization. This is particularly so in less wealthy countries and less profitable industries, which usually have a poorer employment conditions. It is not, of course, always necessary for trade unions to be recognized by a company in order for it to provide good or above average working conditions. So, indeed, many non-unionized companies have been regarded as highly progressive employers. Nonetheless, even in wealthy countries and very profitable industries, a correlation can be found between increased unionization and overall improvements in the wages and working conditions of the workforce as a whole. More tellingly, decrease in unionization have often preceded redundancies and reductions in overall working conditions. Okay, so we give emphasis on the employee ownership. So we recommend the corporations to give shares to their workers so that they can have their own shares and they can be owners of the corporation. The concept of great employee participation through ownership of company shares has proved increasingly popular with major political parties, workers, and employees organizations alike. Okay, so employees should have uh, their company shares. Okay, so uh, in such a way, employee can think like owners of a corporation. Okay? So we think that this kind of employee ownership helps the employee to work for the company uh, uh, as the standpoint of owners. Okay? And the whistleblowing. The the there's the the whistleblower in a corporate